Hi, I'm Lisa Larson, and I'd like to share with you 5 things that people do to mess up their relationships. One is they rush into sex too early, and don't get me wrong, I understand the temptation, but they don't really know their partner that well, and they don't know whether they like or respect their partner. And this, obviously, if it's a heterosexual relationship, it can lead to unexpected pregnancies. It can also lead to STDs. And you might just find out that the person has a really nasty, like sadistic streak or something that you didn't anticipate. And before you know it, the chemicals that come out when you are in love with someone and when you're really attracted to them kind of bind you to someone that you regret having gotten involved with. How many people have done that, right? So the second thing is holding on to resentment until you're ready to break up. And again, I understand this because who likes conflict, right? But you might be so worried about being liked by the person, and you want to be perceived as chill and relaxed and nice, but the partner keeps doing things that bug you, and you don't really know how to tell them without getting into a fight, which you are trying to avoid. So then one day you might not be able to hold back your anger anymore, and it comes out in a way that could be hurtful, that could also have been avoided if you had learned how to communicate your dissatisfaction earlier. Another thing that I see a lot of trauma survivors do, and just people in general, it's natural, is to project your past hurts that came about in relationships onto your current partner. This doesn't mean that people don't still do things that bug you legitimately, but sometimes when we've been hurt either by past relationships, past romantic partners, or by our primary caregivers when we were little, our moms and dads and maybe foster parents, then all of that hurt that doesn't get resolved gets kind of put onto your current partner. And you may get upset about things that are not necessarily the other partner's fault. So I think it's really important for us to own and work through whatever bad stuff happened to us earlier. A lot of times I also see people pressing the nuclear button, which is what I call threatening to break up or doing something really extreme when you're in a fight. And a lot of times this happens because you don't have the tools to communicate effectively, or your partner doesn't have the tools to respond in a productive way. And luckily, those are things that can be learned and worked through. So it's not the end of the world, but if you do press the nuclear button in a fight, the partner might feel unsafe with you, and they might not be able to communicate with you about things that are bothering them without worrying that you're going to go to extremes and threaten to break up with them. Also, if you keep threatening and you don't follow through, like you say, I'm never going to stay in a relationship where X happens, and the person does X and you stay, then it just kind of sends the message that you don't have really effective boundaries and that you don't respect yourself. So how do you expect your partner to take you seriously if you just make empty threats? Now, that's not to say that there aren't times where you genuinely are unsafe and you need to get out of there, like physically abusive relationships or relationships where you're under the other person's control to an extreme amount. In those situations, it's good to seek safety and get out of there because without any kind of intervention, the partner will just escalate it. But this is just for relationships where physical and emotional abuse are not taking place. And finally, a lot of couples will wait until they're just about to break up or divorce before they seek help. And then that's the last thing. And if it doesn't work on the first session of therapy, then they just see, we tried therapy and it didn't work. No, come on. Anyway, that can be a problem because by the time you get to that point, you've already said and done so many hurtful things to each other. It's hard to trust each other, and you can't unsee or unhear those negative things. Even the look on the partner's face, or hearing really hurtful, ugly insults. That said, it's not too late. It's not too late. So if you are struggling in your relationship, please seek professional help, unless, again, it's unsafe to remain in there. And know that you can learn how to communicate better. You can learn how to have a deeper connection and to break the negative patterns that you've already established. So all is not lost. And I see people in California virtually. So if you're in California, it doesn't matter if you're in a straight relationship or a same-sex partnership or a consensual non-monogamous arrangement. All of those things I welcome, and I'm happy to help you. I'm Lisa Larson, licensed psychologist, and I can be reached at 661-233-6771. Also, my website address will be in the comments, and I invite you to come visit my website and see if I can be of help. Thank you. Bye-bye.